officially put you on notice of possible ramifications of the actions that took place at that meeting on one of your issues. And not going into details about it at this point, but yes, I think not dismiss justice, process, due process, and elements of law has been violated, I believe, between one of the residents of the city and their appeal process. And I'll leave it at that, but I'll be writing a comment letter too, and probably adjust the city council for this matter too. And I have to go, I have other people to rain on today, so I'll have to leave. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, can you just be clear about which meeting you are,
The meeting of the 28th
of what month?
February, I'm sorry if I didn't say that, your last meeting.
Okay, February, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we've lost a board member since last
Well,
meeting.
hang on, are we done with?
No other public comment.
No other public. Okay.
Thank you.
So now we have to elect an administrative appeals board vice chair. And we open the nominations and we have a motion
Okay.
for a nominee or
I don't have a problem with it then. But I'm not gonna make the motion.
You're not gonna nominate yourself?
No. Okay,
Nominated.
do you want to nominate?
Yeah, nominated.
Patrick, have you nominated him?
I would like to nominate David Parker for vice chair. of the
Is
board.
there a
I
second?
will second that.
Is there any discussion? Mr. Parker, do you accept the nomination?
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Don't we have to vote?
We
Well,
will.
we're going
We're
to, I wanted to
about
make
to.
sure you were gonna do it.
Okay, gotcha.
That's part of the whole deal. So, board secretary, would you please call the roll?
Board member Basile,
Aye.
board member Kane,
Aye.
board member Parker,
Aye.
Chair St. Clair.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, board member and vice chair Parker.
Very nice.
You rose to the ranks very quickly.
That's all we can drop off.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the appeal of the administrative decision that Maddie's Management Inc. is permanently ineligible to operate a vacation rental, excuse me, in the city of Palm Springs. Board secretary, please ensure the city staff and the appellant understand that their testimony is under oath.
We do have signed affidavits from city staff and appellant. If in person, anyone on Zoom who desires to testify under this appeal hearing, under the laws of perjury, if you choose to speak, you hereby accept and acknowledge that your testimony shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Evelyn, are we on Zoom?
And we have,
We usually can see it up there, so we're.
Yeah.
There we are.
Maddie's Management,
Okay, Patrick, is the city ready to give its testimony?
Yes. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, board members, city staff, public joining us this evening. My name is Patrick Clifford with the Department of Special Program Compliance. We oversee the vacation rental program here in the city of Palm Springs. Before you this evening is a staff report for the property located at 3591 Melody Lane, Palm Springs. Some background on this property: on November 29th, 2023, a citation number AB 0634 was issued to the property owner for 3591 Melody Lane for operating a vacation rental without a vacation rental certificate. During this time frame, the property owner reached out to our city administrative office, my office, and as well as included the Maddie's Management, and advised that the property owner was not operating this as a vacation rental. In fact, that this property owner had a tenant at this property for a period of 1 year, specifically March 31st, 2023 to March 31st, 2024. And after some dialogue between myself, the owner, as well as Maddie's management did state in emails that they were the ones responsible for the advertisement, and did have a residential lease with the property owner for that property at 3591 Melody Lane. So after review of the residential lease, which I think is included in the staff report as attachment 7, we did determine that there was a tenant at this location that was advertising this property as a vacation rental. Thus, we voided the property, or we voided the citation that was originally issued to the property owner, and reissued another citation to the tenant for operating a vacation rental without a registration certificate. Included in the staff report is the analysis of what led to the original, or what led to the issuance of the citation, with the elements listed in there as far as the advertisements and the conversation that's between the code officer and the host of the advertisement. The code officer that is here will be able to provide further testimony on what led to the issuance of the citation. And I would like to bring that code officer up to the microphone to provide further testimony. Thank you.
All right, good evening, members of the board, my fellow city staff, members of the public joining us on the call tonight. My name is Mitch Napan, and I'm the code compliance supervisor for the city of Palm Springs, and I oversee the city's vacation rental enforcement program. So on Thursday, November 16th, 2023, while conducting a review of available rental listings in the city of Palm Springs on the web-based booking platform Airbnb.com, code officer Jason Whitaker came across an advertisement titled "Beautiful Townhouse is PS," which can be found on page 23 as attachment number 5 in your staff report. While reviewing the advertisement, it stated that the 2-bedroom condo was being offered for up to 4 guests with a minimum stay of 7 nights. Officer Whitaker was unable to find a city ID number in the advertisement as required for a registered vacation rental property. So he reviewed the photos contained within the ad and was able to positively identify the property address as 3591 Melody Lane. Reviewing the city's vacation rental registration records confirmed the property identified did not hold a vacation rental registration certificate. A message was then sent via the Airbnb.com contact host feature, which can be found in attachment number 6 on page 37 of the staff report, inquiring about a 7-night stay arriving Friday, December 22nd, 2023, and departing Friday, December 29th, 2023. The message stated, "Hi there, we are looking to come out to PS for Christmas for a week, 12/22 through 12/29/2023, and I wanted to see if you charge extra to heat the spa. Is there garage parking available? Not a deal breaker if not." Officer Whitaker then sent a follow-up message the next day, which stated, "Hi, just checking to see if my first message went through." The host of the ad, S, responded to Officer Whitaker's inquiry with the following message: "There's no garage parking, but plenty of parking on a designated area. Also, there will be an additional charge of $100 to keep the heat on the spa during your stay." The host subsequently sent an invitation to book via a special offer for the requested 7-night stay in December. As a result of Officer Whitaker's findings contained in the advertisement, the unique response to his inquiry and the host's invitation to book his requested 7-night stay, we found that the property located at 3591 Melody Lane was in violation of Palm Springs Municipal Code 525-040A, which is operating a vacation rental without a vacation rental registration certificate, and issued administrative citation number AB 0634 to the property owner on title, Gary Mitchell. So that's what led to the issuance of the original citation. Then, as Patrick mentioned, on January 15th of this year, the property owner contacted Special Programs Administrative staff via the vacation.rentals@palmspringsca.gov email, asking for more information related to the citation he received for operating his property as an unregistered vacation rental. Patrick responded to that email, engaged back and forth with property owner Gary Mitchell, where it was found that the owner's long-term tenant had attempted to sublease the property via the Airbnb booking platform in violation of their annual lease agreement. Additionally, via those email exchanges, the tenant, which is Maddie's management, care of Shane's Act, acknowledged their responsibility for being at fault for the violation found and requested that the citation be reissued from the property owner to them. And Patrick continued to interact with both parties, and supporting documentation was provided to establish cause for the citation to be reissued to the owner's tenant. After some further discussion between our director, Patrick, and myself, our department determined that there was sufficient cause to reissue. So citation AB 0634 to Gary Mitchell was voided. And the citation here before you tonight, which is AB 0661, was issued to the owner's tenant, which was listed on their lease agreement as Maddie's Management Inc. And that was care of Shane Zach. On January 24th, 2024, for the violations that were originally found on November 29th, 2023. So that'll conclude what I have to present, but I'm available to the board if you have any questions, and I'll pass back over to Patrick.
Patrick?
Yes, thank you, Coach Supervisor, so just wanted to provide further, some information between the dialogue within our department. And so one of the questions that came up when reviewing this case was, most cases that we hear with respect to, operating vacation rentals, we show that, the owner is ultimately responsible for this. However, that a lot of those cases are relating around property management that enter into an agreement, maybe to manage the properties. And we kind of hold to maybe the agency section of the code where it says that in the long, at the end point, the owners are responsible. In this case, this owner entered into a residential lease agreement with specifically as a tenant, not a property management company. And we felt that with the language in our code that says any persons found operating a vacation rental without a vacation rental certificate is in violation of the ordinance. And so we felt that comfortable going forward with the reissuing the citation to the tenant, a little bit different than what we see in the past with agencies and stuff like that. So I just wanted to provide that.
Yeah,
I have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I know he's got a lot
Me
of
too.
questions.
yeah, because I think Patrick and we should let Jocelyn go, but my memory, and that's why I have other people here, is that in this situation, on a number of occasions, because this is a strict liability ordinance, that the homeowner was still liable regardless. I mean, we've had situations where the tenant has leased without the knowledge of the owner, and we've still held the owner responsible. So you're saying that because there's a lease here, that the owner is not responsible?
That's our position. We have in the past also done this with other properties. We've seen to kind of gone back and forth with tenants. I think it was maybe not this past summer, maybe last summer, we had a couple cases where owners who provided us a residential lease and we dismissed based off of that. So our position was, since this was a tenant listed on a valid residential lease, we felt that that's information enough to reissue the citation to the tenant.
But we haven't.
No, but I guess the
Okay,
clarity,
Jocelyn, go
well, the clarity needs to be around like precedent and maybe this is for the city attorney, but to the extent that your analysis is, you learn as you go, right? Because this is all stuff that you learn, you keep changing. It's fine by me as far as being a board member to have us, rule as it's now listed on our agenda as
Mhm.
opposed to, but I know this is different than we have had in the past. So just how do we sort of reconcile and feel comfortable reconciling that? And again, I'm not saying we should do one or the other. I certainly get that things change and this rationally makes sense.
Yes. Council, do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, I do. What you are considering today, just to clarify, is the citation that you have in front of you.
Right.
Right, so you need to consider whether the ordinance supports the citation being issued to Maddie's management. In terms of whether you can make that finding, because of the language of the ordinance, that it does say any person who operates. I do think that the board can find, if it finds that there was a violation and it was Maddie's management that was operating, the board can find that they have violated that provision. Whether they can also find that the property owner, if they were up here as the one that was issued the citation, as I've advised the board previously, when the citation has come up in the context of a property owner, I do think that the ordinance supports strict liability for that property owner. It's just that the board has not had occasion to consider a citation being issued to a tenant instead. But I do think that the language of the ordinance supports that if you find that there was a violation.
Okay, so we
But
can
that's
do
not,
either.
that's
we
not
can go
part
either
of
way.
this stuff, is it? That the question of the homeowner is
What's
not. part
before
of-
us right now, the
Yeah.
citation was voided, so this is the citation that we have. Just to follow up then, do we
But-
know,
but
I'm
Sorry,
sorry,
go ahead.
do we know if this tenant is still the tenant? Is that relevant even? It kind of feels like it is.
No communication to our offices whether the tenant is still occupying the property or not. I can only show it to, from the lease that we had, they had a date ending in March here. I think it was March 31st, 2024.
March 2024, so
31st,
based on
yeah.
documents, we can assume potentially unless there's a new lease, that they're no longer a tenant.
We can ask them. when it's their turn.
Well, we can, and then the last thing is just to clarify or make sure that my recollection in reading this is correct, that this is an HOA that does not allow short-term rentals.
Yeah, that's what it says.
I just want to get like confirmation.
Yeah, from what we've heard from the appellant is that does not have been confirmed if they do or not, only it's on our side, so.
Okay,
David?
I'm still struggling, Abe, with what you said, and I think because I remember a very specific case, it happened to be the first one that I was in attendance, that's why I remember it. But there was in the documentation, are we allowed to talk about previous cases? I don't know if this,
I understand you have
I feel
questions.
a contradiction.
I understand you have questions about this, particularly related because of the way that the board has seen previous citations. You can certainly discuss them, as long as you base your decision on the citation today, ultimately on whether you make a determination as to this entity committed the violation or not. You should not consider, whether based on precedent, this has been the case or not. You're making the decision solely based on this. Which I understand you will do that, but I can still answer your question as to, if it seems like there's an inconsistency, and I think I understand what you're asking me, which is, and what I tried to explain previously, hopefully I can say it again more clearly, is the times that we have seen this come up, at least in the time that I've been here, and that I've advised, there has been instances in which the city staff has opted to issue the citation to the property owner. I don't advise city staff, I advise the board, so I don't make an opinion to city staff as to whether it is improper or proper to issue the citation to the property or to the tenant, et cetera. What I can advise to you as a board is, in the past, you've seen instances in which it was issued to the property owner. I believe the ordinance supports that issuance to the property owner because it says any person who operates, and it's strict liability, it doesn't require knowledge from the property owner if a tenant is renting it on or not. I do think that the ordinance language supports a citation being issued against a property owner. And that has been my advice always. We have not seen the context where a tenant was reissued a citation. Well, what I can say from my review of the documents and my review of the language again in the ordinance is I do think that the language supports a violation being issued against the tenant because it says any person, and so it's broad enough to cover. What I would say is it's broad enough to cover both the property owner and the tenant, because it's any person operating the vacation rental.
And unless,
We just have not seen that before, and it sounds like the city has made a policy decision to reissue it in this instance.
Right.
Which I am not in a position to advise.
And going back to Johnson's question about, is the board, precedent? It feels like a precedent has been set before.
I think you don't need to look at it like that, you just need to look at it like
So
we're.
we don't have any issue with precedent.
No, I think you need to look at the citation that was issued in front of you,
Okay,
and you've got advice that says, yes, that's a citation that he feels was issued correctly.
okay,
So we now go forward with our job.
okay,
And in any case, board member, I would say, I don't see that if you were to make a decision about this, with respect to the tenant, I don't see that as changing your precedent, because you're not reconsidering whether it's proper to issue it to the property owner or not. You don't have that question before you because the citation in front of you is not to the property owner.
Okay,
This is,
Yeah.
this is simply an extension of now you're considering whether it was proper to issue it to the.
thank you, thanks for the
Yeah,
clarity.
yeah, and
Alright.
if we wanna talk about their policy,
Yeah.
I think that's a sidebar.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So Patrick, you're saying this is a policy change, and there's only one citation in front of us.
That's correct.
There's the one citation in front of you this evening to issue to the tenant.
Okay,
Any other questions from the board? Okay,
So, yeah, I do have a question. So this is the first time that we've had a situation where the citation was removed from the property owner to
mhm,
the tenant.
yeah,
That
Is that
I,
correct?
My
that we have
6 years.
seen.
Okay,
Just clarify, I know we have done this in the past, issued to tenants a handful of times.
They may not have appealed,
right, exactly.
so we may not have seen it.
Okay,
okay.
thank you.
I just have one more, I'm sorry, question around, there's a permanent ban on this property regardless, right?
It's a permanent ineligibility for Maddie's management.
Oh,
Per se.
okay, so the property still, whatever it is.
That's correct.
Okay, we think that it's also not eligible for
Short-
permit anyway, but, okay, got you.
And a board member, I did check, we don't have any registered vacation rentals in that community, which leads me to say that the HOA may not allow vacation rentals in general.
Forgot, gotcha, thank you.
This time I would like to open the appeal hearing. The appellant is invited to speak for up to 10 minutes. Any member of the public who desires to speak in this appeal hearing shall have up to 3 minutes to speak. If any member of the public testifies, the appellant will have an additional 2 minutes. Is the appellant online?
She has, no, I'll allow her to speak.
Please state your name and give us your testimony.
Good afternoon. My name is Esorena. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. First of all, thank you for being able to hear me out. I'm representing Maddie's management. I was in fact the person that so what happened is we have a yearly lease with Mr. Mitchell. And upon we're leasing the property, we after being there for a while, we realized that we didn't really like that area. We did not know that before. We've never done this before. We're not looking to do month to month. I was really looking for a long term for somebody to take over the lease, but I couldn't find anybody. And then my next door neighbor said that she had found this place through BRBO. And then she have extended it, you know, to have her for 3 or 4 months, which was like kind of the remaining of the lease that I have. So that was always my goal. I did not know that, you know, they have to get all these permits, all these things. I went to BRBO. I just post that information that I had just for the property. In the meantime, I have sent the information to the HOA asking if I can, you know, try to lease it until I can find a long-term rental, because that was always my goal. I had put it on Craigslist and so long I couldn't find anybody to take over the lease. And immediately within that, I get this request from the city, from you guys. And long story short is the property was never rented. Nobody came to stay. The BRBO or the Airbnb ad that I had posted, I literally removed it within less than, I believe it was like 12 business days when I figured out that we could not do any short-term rentals and I couldn't do that. So I stopped the process of the permit that I was getting because I did not know. And as I'm doing this for the first time, as you can see, we never had a citation, never done this. I didn't know that I needed a permit and all this for something that I thought it was going to be a one-time deal. So I do understand that this was wrong. Again, I don't know. I did not know the process. I did not know that just by advertising, I was breaking the law. So I'm really asking for a leniency here. Again, since I've never done this, I did not know what the rules were, and I wasn't really looking to make money or to do this on a weekly thing. I was just looking for somebody to really take over my lease, and I was told my neighbor that she has done that by doing it that way. So I did not know that this is not how it's done. So and therefore, when all this happened and I found out the landlord had a citation, I said, no, this is our responsibility because I'm the one that did it, and it was really my mistake. But at the same time, I'm asking here to the city, if you can please take in consideration, again, be a one-time offender, I never done this. If you can take some leniency and grant this appeal. Again, again, this is not an excuse, but I have no idea what I was doing, so this is totally my fault.
Anything further?
I think you should have all that there, but I sent all the emails from the BRBO that, again, the property was never rented. It was removed within less than, I think, 12 days, the ad. And if you can see even, well, I don't know if you can see that, but when I was trying to set up, I was trying to do like long-term and I couldn't do it, again, since I'm not familiar with that website. And even when the representative from the city was contacting me, I wasn't replying to her very quickly because I was trying to figure out what I was doing. So again, not an excuse, but that's really what happened. So I hope that, you know, you can consider maybe, you know, find some leniency for this once.
All right, thank you for your testimony. Are there questions from the board to the appellant? Mr. Parker?
Thank you for your testimony, Ms. Rena. Kudos to you guys for, telling the owner of the property that you should be on hook for the state responsibility. Who is Shane Zach to you?
He's the president of the company. I'm the secretary. So yeah, we rented this as the company through the company because we were gonna try to see if we like the area to buy property there. So that's how we did the lease.
Okay, and then was it your testimony that your company doesn't have any other vacation rentals, any other short-term rental properties?
Correct. We have never done that. I don't have anything. I'm the one that does all that paperwork. So I honestly have no idea that, you know, that you have to do that. There, I mean, we don't have anything, and you can see that on the website. Like, we have never done that.
Okay. And does your lease with Mr. Mitchell permit you to sublease the property?
Well, we actually, I was gonna try to see if I can even find somebody, and then I was gonna talk to him. But as long as I think that we have somebody that covered the lease, then I didn't really think it was gonna be a problem because he wasn't gonna lose any money. I was just trying to pretty much, you know, get somebody just to cover the lease so I'm not in a loss here. So like this, I was just like, instead of just really talking and planning this properly, I just went ahead I'm sorry, but like an idiot, and just posted, not knowing that there was going to be all these consequences to my actions. So I was just like, I had posted it on Craigslist and I say, you know, long term, because I wanted them to take at least for 3 months so I don't lose all that money for those 3 months, you know, that I have to pay. So that was always the plan.
Okay, I have one last question and then I'll let my colleagues ask you some questions. I see in our packet the email from Mr. Mitchell to the city, and I think he copied your company. But he says in there, in the email, that your company assured him that you had a short-term rental certificate and that he would reply all to the email with a copy of the certificate. Why was he under that assumption?
Because again, we have talked, and like after like I have talked to, like I said, the other neighbor, and she said, you know, people do BRBO. So I guess we have talked in passing that we might get it, but then when I find out that we couldn't do that and the HOA doesn't even allow you to do anything under 30 days, then we never moved forward. Like we were just talking, like, I mean, and instead of just waiting and getting the permit, doing everything that I guess I needed to do, I didn't know there was going to be all these huge fines. So then he just assumed, I guess, that I was doing all that. But as soon as I sent the email, because what I did is I sent an email to the HOA first after I posted the Airbnb, and the HOA came back to me within I think it was like 5 business days, and they said, no, we do not have any short-term rentals. So then I stopped everything.
Okay,
But,
thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Can we determine you're no longer renting that property? Is that correct?
I am, and for the next for a few more days, and then I'll be done.
Oh, the end of the month, right, gotcha, okay.
All right, thank you for your testimony.
Thank
Is there board discussion?
We probably should make a motion or discuss before a motion.
I thought,
I
yeah,
I think
that's
this is
fine.
pretty clear cut.
You wanna make a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion that we uphold the fine
Okay, there's been a motion made that the fine and the
and and it was a permanent.
permanent ineligibility
We
to,
used to call it a ban,
A
but the
ban,
word is
right.
there.
Ineligibility to rent, yeah.
is there a second to the motion?
Yeah, I'll second.
Is there discussion?
No.
No,
Nothing.
No.
this is pretty clear cut,
It is pretty clear cut.
so. All right, board secretary, would you call the roll?
Board Member Basile,
Aye.
Board Member King,
Aye.
Vice Chair Parker,
Aye.
and Chair Sinclair.
Aye,
Motion carries 4-0.
thank you for your time. The appeal has been denied and the city will be in touch. We'll move on now to the next appeal hearing. I'm sure I got this here. The next hearing concerns a property located at 622 South Highland Drive in the city of Palm Springs. It is appeal of a $2,500 fine and administrative decision of a 6-month suspension of the vacation rental registration certificate. Board Secretary, please ensure city staff and the appellant understand their testimony is under oath.
We do have signed affidavits from city staff and appellant if in person. If anyone on Zoom who desires to testify under this appeal hearing, under the laws of perjury, if you choose to speak, you hereby accept and acknowledge that your testimony shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
The city should state your name and proceed with your testimony.
Yes, good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, board members, city staff, public joining us this evening in the meeting room. My name is Patrick Clifford with the Department of Special Program Compliance, and we oversee the vacation rental program here in the city of Palm Springs. Before you this evening is a staff report for the property located at 622 South Highland Drive, Palm Springs. And some background on this property. This property is a registered vacation rental with the city of Palm Springs with an official start date of July 6th, 2022. It was found that this property did not file contract summaries for short-term stays of 28 days or less. This finding led to the issuance of citation AB 0599. Our ordinance 27.5 does require that prior to each short-term guest stay, that a contract summary is submitted to our department as filed as described in our ordinance. In attachment 5 of the staff report, we do provide initial notifications that are sent out to vacation rental property owners during their application process, including where they do initial in the application under section D that a contract summary is required. A second notification was sent around July 6th, 2022, along with their vacation rental certificate, with a link to access the contract summary tool to provide those contract summaries. Additionally, a third notification was sent around July 13th, 2022, along with their transient occupancy tax permit with another link to access the contract summary tool. The code officer that did investigate this property and issued the citation is here this evening to provide further testimony. However, the review of the contract summaries, which also is attached in your staff report, is attachment 6. It just does provide a review of the contract summary stays. It was found that there were 16 short-term rental stays between January 23 and September of 23. And some additional information for this property, upon drafting the staff report, it was found that AB 0599 is the third administrative citation in a 12-month period. So while this appeal before you tonight is for the 6-month suspension of the $2,500 citation, the action tonight with this citation, if upheld, will confirm that this is a third citation issued in the 12-month period, and we will be issuing a suspension letter for a period of 2 years. Now, that letter has not been drafted and signed by the city manager as of yet, and pending the outcome of this hearing. I have nothing further to provide at this point, but I would like to invite the code officer who investigated the property for further testimony. Thank you.
Officer, please state your name and give us your testimony.
Good evening, members of the board, my fellow city staff, and members of the public joining us. My name is Jonathan Ingram, and I'm a co-compliance officer in the city of Palm Springs. I'd like to add that this initial contact was engaged by a vacation rental call for a music nuisance. On Saturday, September 16, 2023, at approximately 6:33 p.m., I was a primary vacation rental enforcement officer and was dispatched to a vacation rental property located at 622 South Highland Drive regarding a reported active loud music nuisance. Before responding to the property, I conducted a brief search of the city's contract summary file keeping database to confirm if the property was occupied by the owner or operating as a short-term rental. After reviewing the data, I was not able to locate a submitted contract summary for a short-term stay on the day of the 16th. Upon arriving to the address, I made observations from the street in front of the property and was able to hear music beyond the property lines. I performed a decimal sound level reading of the music heard and was also able to use the Shazam app to document the song title and artist of the music that was being played. As a result of the music witness, I contacted the occupants at the front door of the property, and speaking with the occupants, it was found that the property was rented short-term on the booking platform Airbnb, and the responsible renter was ultimately issued a citation for observed music violation. On Friday, September 29, 2023, I called and emailed the property owner advising him there was no contract summary submissions located for the short-term rental on the 16th, and that resulted into a violation on the property. I requested records of the City of Palm Springs vacation rental statement of rules and regulations form and completed reservations report from Airbnb for the property's short-term rentals for an audit to determine that the objectives and conditions of the vacation rental ordinance are being fulfilled. The property owner failed to provide sufficient information to satisfy my request, and it was confirmed that the property had been operating as a vacation rental within the time frame in question, and shows that the owner has facilitated 16 short-term rental contracts from January 2023 through September 2023, only submitting 3 contract summaries during that time frame. Failing to submit contract summaries prior to guests taking occupancy and 13 other rentals. As a result of my findings, it was determined that the property was in violation of PSMC 5.25.070H, failing to submit a contract summary prior to the guests occupying the property, and I issued citation AB 0599 to the property owner, Taylor Grosso. This concludes my statement. I'll be open for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
I just want to be clear that we are on our agenda looking at the last citation, the contract summary
Correct.
violation, not the noise violation was not appealed, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we're not
This is
talking
for not
about that.
submitting a contract summary.
Right, but it was the same date, those 2 citations are issued on the same date.
They weren't issued, but the
Well,
first citation initiated the
Initiated the
investigation. for
second, okay, because it sort of says 9/16, but it doesn't matter.
Okay,
Just wanna be clear that that is what we're hearing, and
Yeah, that's correct.
just to like, yeah, put a box around it for
And
the
you're,
next conversation we have.
yeah, and you're correct, board member, the data violation of book 9/16, where the second citation was issued on 9/16 to the guest, the third citation would have been issued after the investigation concluded, but the data violation is on the 16th.
Yeah, okay.
thank you.
Can you clarify for me again, why we're not looking at the 2-year suspension? Is it just because the letter had not been issued yet? Is that the issue?
Correct, we haven't issued a 2-year suspension yet for that to be appealed. They appealed the citation that was a 6-month suspension of $2,500.
Okay. And then the contract summaries that we see in the package, I mean, we have a history of submitting contract summaries in this property. Okay, correct. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Ingram and Mr. Clifford. At this time, I would open the appeal hearing. The appellant is invited to speak for up to 10 minutes. Any members of the public who desire to speak on this appeal hearing shall have up to 3 minutes to speak. If any of the member of the public testifies, the appellant will be invited to rebut or rebuttal of up to 2 minutes. Would the appellant please state your name for the record, and you can begin your time of 10 minutes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello, thank you guys so much for taking the time. My name is Julie White. This is my husband, Taylor Gross. So I was just going to lead first, if that's okay with everybody.
Sure, can we
Your
see-
time.
Can we see them?
Thank
Is
you.
that a possibility or no? Oh,
Would you like to?
yeah, I'd like to see them.
Oh, I hope I look okay.
I mean, that's if you have your camera
Pressure.
on, that's all I'm saying. You don't have to have your camera on. I just, if you did,
You'll have to accept the request to
you,
become panelist.
Okay, it should pop up.
there you go.
We see you.
Voila.
Hopefully in good form. I just wanted to start first because my husband was helping me with the logistics. I just had a baby and this is definitely my fault. I'm sorry. I just had a baby and we had a very hard year. And I entirely misunderstood the language in the form about how frequently it needed to be sent. I have literally asked every guest over 4 times to send me their forms and their contracts. So I've always made that a point. And I've also wrote 4 messages every time before they book to not have a cell phone outside, no music, no nothing. I've been very clear about that. So I have all of the paperwork. The submitting was where I made a huge fault. I didn't understand that part of it. And I was very overwhelmed, and I should have asked him to help me with making sure that part was done correctly. So yes, they were definitely not submitted, entirely my fault, but I literally have them all. And I asked every single time over and over again, multiple times, and made it very clear every day during their stay not to have one cell phone outside. And the reason this also makes me emotional is because I have a neighbor who has been, I believe, peeping Tomming us because he has a camera inside my backyard where my little children are constantly playing in their bathing suits. And I know he calls the city constantly. I'm not saying guests are perfect. This is why I make sure that they don't have any music in the backyard, not even a cell phone, because I know how serious this is. So many people from the county have been so good to me and by helping me understand how important that noise violation was. I also understood that this is a different city, and the other city I Airbnb, I don't have this paperwork thing. I misunderstood the language of when you needed to send it, but I 100% sent them the rules, the contract, made them sign it, send it back, and sent a message every day about music. So I just want everyone to know how much I value Palm Springs. And I've literally even have a house 2 doors down from me that the city has been called on multiple times by neighbors that there are homeless people living in it and throwing their feces on the front lawn. And I have paid multiple times out of my own money. And I have literally cleaned that house with my own 2 hands for free because it makes our street look bad. And everybody knows in Palm Springs what neighborhoods and what streets are good and what are not. And that street has affected me immensely. And I have put my own blood, sweat, and tears into that house to make sure I make Palm Springs a better city. So I should be punished for being unorganized and not understanding the language, but I just would like some grace because I really have put so much money and love into this city. And I feel that my mistake needs to be punished, but I just feel like it's outrageous for the reality of what we have been going through. And I just want to apologize for not paying attention to that. And I knew that that was a problem, that I was feeling very overwhelmed with how many things that were on my plate. But I did make sure I told them to sign the contract, to read the details. I sent them the links. I made it clear in the listing. I sent a message every day about the rules. And I made sure I got that contract back. I said, you can't step foot in the house without giving this back to me. So I did all of that because I knew that was the most important. I was not organized in sending these things ahead of time all at once because I just did not understand the language and I was overwhelmed. And that is not an excuse. It's just the reality. I think we all know that Palm Springs has also suffered from the short-term rental aspect in this last year. And I've really put a lot of energy and soul into that. And I didn't want to violate for any other reason except I was unorganized. But I have all of those contracts and I will give them all to you if you need them. But I think this is where me and my husband have a hard time, is I'm doing the logistics with the guests and making sure that stuff is sent. And I'm missing the lead on making sure he gets it submitted how it's supposed to. And that's entirely my fault. I just feel that the whole story is important because we really have put a lot of love into this city and asked for no return on our street. And I feel that it's all just because I had a very hard time after the baby keeping that organized, and I apologize.
Is there anything
Well,
else
the
you have?
only thing I'd like to add, if
You
I
have
may.
2 minutes on your time.
I'm sorry, how much?
2 minutes on your time.
Okay, absolutely. So in my experience, our other Airbnb is located in Arlington, Virginia, and I have been able to reach out to the city there and give them all my documentation, and they've helped me. They've been absolutely helpful in me getting all my taxes paid and getting all the documentation that I needed. And when I was speaking with Jonathan, I was under the impression that I was going to give him all of our records and he was going to be helping me get everything buttoned up. And I was hoping to be paying the city whatever I needed to be paying and getting whole with them. I didn't know I was preparing a case to be prosecuted against. I really was under the impression that I was trying to get square with the city. I'm willing to pay. We're trying to do everything on the up and up. And we love your beautiful city. That's why we wanted to invest there, invested a lot of money in a home, renovating it, making it beautiful. We'd love to continue doing business there. But if we get our suspension, then we're going to be forced out.
And I know that every small business owner there supports the community. We all have people helping with all of the pieces to the puzzle to landscape, but I also hire massage therapists. I have estheticians. I have private chefs. They're all local to Palm Springs City, and I have got them business. I take $0 and I support them 100% in getting full bookings with every single person. So I don't want a party house. I'm a mom. I like that my kids get to stay there and it's safe and it's clean. It's a spa. I own a med spa. That was the type of clientele that I was trying to bring and to help the entire med spa community in Palm Springs. That was the intention of the entire listing. But our experience with our city in the DC area is obviously very different. And that is where we made a mistake. We're dealing with clearly a big pond and we're a small fish, and we are clearly learning the hard way.
Thank you for your testimony. Your time is up. Do we have any questions from the board for the appellants? No?
I do. I thank you for your testimony. I just have a clarifying question. You made a point of saying how you made sure that all of the contracts were completed before a guest set foot in the house, et cetera. There, in our packet, there are 3 contract summaries submitted, so you or somebody was doing them for a while and then didn't for the
Yes.
others.
That would be
I
me.
just-
That's my fault. It's not that I didn't know it existed, that I needed to upload them. It's that the timing of when they needed to be submitted and the fact that it fell on me, and I had a lot going on. So I did them, which to me was the biggest thing, making sure they signed it, making sure they knew what the ordinance was, the rules were, and how serious they were. It was the uploading aspect, this other task that I just didn't obviously complete. I just was really thinking the contract was the essential part, them knowing the rules, them respecting the neighbor policy. Those were the things I was thinking about. That logistical part, which I know is such a big deal for all of you. To me, I was overwhelmed, honestly, and I just would forget about that part of it. Sometimes I thought maybe I can just upload them all at another time, all at the same time. I should have done that. I could have done that, but I honestly, there is no excuse. I was overwhelmed, and I was just thinking what matters is this contract. I didn't realize I was going to get fined thousands of dollars. We were going to be shut down because I didn't upload it, at that time. So that was my fault. That's where the disconnect is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I don't have anything else.
No other questions?
Did you pay the taxes on each each rental?
Yeah, so the whole point of sharing with Jonathan those documents was I was planning to get everything I needed to do the taxes, and I have fully intended to do, I haven't submitted my taxes for 2023 yet, but the intention was to completely pay whatever we needed to pay. And previously in the other city, I contacted the Commissioner of Revenue, and they helped me get all the documents in order and pay all the taxes I needed. And I was under the impression that the city of Palm Springs would do the same thing. And that's actually what I was doing, but apparently I was not doing it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other questions?
No, I just want to put the context out there for the appellant that this is Arlington, Virginia. Palm Springs is a vacation city, and
Yep.
this is taken very seriously here, and there are lots of rules and regulations, and it is hard. And we acknowledge that, and we appreciate that you enjoy our community, but these are the regulations, and we are tasked as this board with a pretty black and white kind of situation, and we aren't the policymakers, we just try to figure out exactly if what happened appropriately and according to the code, and we get to, we don't get to split the baby.
Okay,
So there's that, and so thank you very much.
I'd like to now open this up for discussion. Which is, there's no further discussion, and I would like to have a motion.
It's just, I mean, it's unfortunate we've been in this situation before, right?
Many
That, we, however sympathetic we may be, the code is the code.
Right.
And, the appellant acknowledges that they didn't, follow the code.
Yeah, well, it's two things. First of all, it's a strict liability ordinance.
Yeah.
Number two, they've admitted they didn't submit them. So, is there any further discussion? Board Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Well, we have to
We
motion.
have to do the
Oh,
motion.
I said, yeah,
I move that we, uphold the suspension and the fine.
is there a second?
Second,
Board Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Board Member Basile,
Aye.
Board Member Kane,
I,
Vice Chair Parker,
Aye.
Chair Sinclair.
Aye,
Motion carries 4-0.
the appeal has been denied, and, the city will be in touch with the appellants with regard to, whatever. It's time for me to take a 5-minute break.
oh, that's fine. We're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna
If
figure out.
Patrick will go with me. We'll now take a 5-minute recess.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda. Let's see if we can find that in there.
Yeah, the same problem.
Is item 7, appeal of the administrative decision concerning the property at 1331 East Del Paso Way. The appeal of a $2,500 fine and administrative decision of a 6-month suspension of the vacation rental registration certificate. Board secretary ensure that city staff and appellant understand their testimony is under oath.
We do have signed affidavits from city staff and appellant. Anyone on Zoom who desires to testify under this appeal hearing, under the laws of perjury, if you choose to speak, you hereby accept and acknowledge that your testimony shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Mr. Clifford, you're up.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, board members, city staff, public joining us this evening. My name is Patrick Clifford with the Department of Special Program Compliance, and we oversee the vacation rental program here in the city of Palm Springs. And before you this evening is a staff report for the property located at 1331 East Del Paso Way, Palm Springs. It was found that this property did not file contract summaries as required by our ordinance for any guest stay shorter than 28 days. Included in your staff report is documentation related to the communication from our administration staff regarding the requirement to submit contract summaries. Specifically in attachment 5, it shows you that there's initial notification from the vacation rental certificate application under section D, which states that contract summaries are required. A second notification was sent via email on December 8th, 2022, along with the rental certificate with a link to access the contract summary tool. And a third notification was sent via email on December 22nd, 2022, along with their transient occupancy tax permit with the link to access the contract summary tool. Additionally, in this, for the renewal of 2023, an email was sent with a link to the contract summary tool, but also included a PowerPoint related to a contract summary education, presentation that city staff gave relating to contract summaries and contract counts. And this PowerPoint presentation is also included in attachment 5. Code compliance officer did investigate this property and found findings what inevitably led to the issuance of the citation. I would ask the code officer to provide further testimony what led to the issuance of the citation. Additionally, the city manager did sign a suspension of the vacation rental certificate for the violation found for a period of 6 months starting January 29th, 2024. And I would welcome the code officer to provide further testimony. Thank you.
So good evening, members of the board, my fellow city staff, members of the public with us for tonight's hearing. I'm Jonathan Ingram, Code Compliance Officer for the City of Palm Springs. On Saturday, December 23rd, 2023, while reviewing vacation rental contract summary data in response to a report received via the Department of Special Programs Compliance Administration staff, it was found that the property located at 1331 East Del Paso Way had not submitted any contract summaries or abstracts of the written contract as required for any vacation rental stay facilitated at this property in 2023. While contacting the property owner to discuss my findings, I request your records related to the property's operations as a vacation rental for an audit to determine if the objectives and the conditions of the vacation rental ordinance were being fulfilled. The property owner provided information as required that confirmed that the property had been operating as a vacation rental within the time frame in question and submitted contract and submitted documents that shows the owner has facilitated approximately 27 short-term rental contracts in 2023 and failed to submit contract summaries prior to the guest taking occupancy in each case. As a result of my findings, it was determined that the property was in violation of PSMC 5.25.070H, failure to submit a contract summary prior to the guests occupying the property, and I issue citation AB 0651 to the property owner, Laura Hopkins. I'd like to add attachment 6, page 53. There's an email stating that she retroactively filled out all the data for a contract summary. So this shows that I went over the contract summaries and she's actually able and consciously can fill them out. Additionally,
What date was that? I didn't miss it.
this was on December 29th, 2023.
Thank you.
I'll be off. That concludes my statement. Thank you.
We're gonna start, there's no appellant here, as I understand it, either here or in, that's correct? Oh, she is here. Okay, because I was gonna start with, Counsel?
Chair Sinclair, my understanding is the appellant for item, for this item has opted not to testify in person.
She, rose her hand to speak.
okay,
If she's raising her hand to speak and has changed her mind, she can, but she has no obligation to do so. She has provided, I understand, written documentation. Of course, it's up to her if she has changed her mind and would like to present her testimony in person.
okay. And I'll open the appeal hearing. The appellant is invited to speak for up to 10 minutes. Any members of the public who wish to speak have up to 3 minutes. And if that happens, the appellant has an additional 2 minutes after that. So appellant, please state your name for the record and you can begin your time.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes?
Oh, thank you. Didn't think you could hear me. Thank you.
Is there
Yes,
any
my
chance we can see you?
yes, thank you. Oh, yeah. Are we good?
No, she's,
Join, I see it. Correct. Thank you. Are we good? Sorry, I'm not very good at this. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear
We
you.
can hear you and
Video. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I didn't have it on.
here we go.
that's fine. And
No, we can-
again, were you able to hear the city attorney?
Yes.
In terms of your request previously not to speak, you've changed your mind, is that correct?
I would like to read what I would like to read, and then I'm very happy also to answer any questions.
Okay,
And I also, yeah,
you have 10 minutes
fine.
starting now.
okay, thank you. I'm just gonna read from this if I may. I'm appealing the administrative citation AB 0651 for failure to file the online contract summary. The grounds of my appeal is that I was recovering from a traumatic brain injury, and therefore, sorry, my mental acuity was seriously impaired, and I missed the online contract summary portion of my filing procedure. In 2022, I sustained a life-threatening brain bleed as a result of a blunt force head trauma. The neurosurgeon of the emergency room informed me that I was lucky to be alive, considering the severity of the injury, and the fatality rate of brain bleed injuries is about 40%. Following my injury, I spent many months traumatized, attempting to recover from the concussion and the many unpleasant symptoms, of a brain bleed, some of which were long-term. My symptoms include the inability to focus, especially on computer screens, to multitask, I have a lack of memory, all peppered with insomnia and a lot of anxiety. I was unable to work. I'm a single mother with a teenager, and I had to persevere. This was a seriously dark time of my life. I incurred $75,000 worth of hospital bills from this injury. During my recovery, in the many months that followed, I applied for my short-term rental certificate. I eventually set up my Airbnb listing, and I began operating what I thought was in full compliance with the City of Palm Springs vacation rental protocol. There was a lot to learn and a lot to remember, and I was still really struggling with a brain injury. But doing this felt like hope to me, and I was climbing out of a very dark place and moving forward. Today, after trauma therapy and 2 years away from the injury, I finally feel like me again. Sadly, things pop up in my life today that I missed back then. The administrative citation is one of those such things. I apologize for missing the contract summary portion of the filing procedure. I really believed I was following vacation rental protocol perfectly. I now understand that in my TBI fog, traumatic brain injury fog, I missed that part of the filing process. In closing, it is my hope that the Administrative Appeals Board consider the above, what I've just mentioned, extreme extenuating circumstances as the reason I missed this step, and not out of carelessness or disregard. I am respectfully asking the Administrative Appeals Board to release the administrative citation AB 06516 and the punitive 6-month suspension and the $2,500 fine that accompanies it. Respectfully, thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your testimony. Do we have questions from the board?
Yeah,
Do we have questions from the board?
oh, sorry.
No?
I have one. Thank you for your testimony. And I'm sure we could all sympathize with your situation. I do have a question though. I think you said that you placed the ad? Was
Oh,
that,
the Airbnb?
yeah, you placed it?
I did. I did.
Okay.
It was extremely difficult and it took me a really long time to pull it together, but I did it.
You did, and it was a very well-written ad.
My friend helped me do that. She's a real estate agent.
Okay, I have just a general question, I guess. Since you were going through this at the time, I think you mentioned confusion, et cetera. Why not maybe hire somebody to do it for you, or hire a management company to work this process for you?
This is so crazy. I'm going to share a story that I wasn't planning on getting into. I hired, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the company, but it's a company that does everything for you, because that seemed like the smart plan. And they sent over a cleaning person, and I hope I'm not getting too far off track here. And or a man, I'm sorry, they sent over a person who was going to be a manager, and he bought a cleaning person with him. And this is kind of how out of it I was. I was helping them get stuff like linen and getting things organized, and they robbed me, which is really crazy. But I had a bunch of boxes in my garage, and because I was kind of not really with it, they managed to take a bunch of stuff out of my garage, and I didn't notice it. And I reported it to the police. And yeah, so I thought, okay, well, I can't do that, because I just felt really vulnerable after what had happened to me. And I had a lot of fear, and I didn't really feel comfortable after I brought this manager guy in, who was referred to me by this very large company. And they were shocked to hear that happened. But I had it on my video camera, my security camera, which,
Okay.
yeah, sorry.
No, I think you answered me. Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't have any other questions.
Yeah. Ms. Hopkins, when was the date of your initial injury?
It was in February. It was basically 2 years ago.
February of
Of
2022.
2022, yeah. And I'm only now, if you're asking, I only now feel mostly normal. I just started back to work. And I can tell you, it is really hard to multitask. It's really hard to stay organized. I get overwhelmed really easily. Like I'm obviously crying.
And what was the date that you applied for the vacation rental permit? Patrick, do you know that one?
It's July 30th.
Yes, as far as the date of the application, it was July 30th, 2022. And then it was processed and effective December 2022.
Yes.
Thank you. And I think I had my first rental in March.
And
It took me a while to figure it out.
Right. So the permit would have been issued at the end of 23,
End of 2022.
22.
end of 2022.
Yeah,
And I believe that states that the first rental was March of 2023 or May of the year. Forgive me,
Okay,
2023 for sure.
all right.
I've been
So-
at it for about a year.
So 14 months after the injury. I think that's all I have. I'd like to first, ask our council, because this is a bit of a delicate area. I know you did some research for this case with regard to the, Americans with Disabilities Act, and could you give us the result of that research?
Chair Sinclair, I think before I advise the board and you get into board discussion, I could just clarify that you're closing the public hearing, and confirm that there is no one else that is wishing to speak on this item.
Okay, I can do that.
And then you can move to the board discussion, and at which point you can ask me. the question.
Is there anybody else who desires to testify on this case? If not, we'll ask you to, this is our discussion period, and we'll ask council to give us the benefit of his research.
Is there anybody?
There are no further comments for this item.
Chair Sinclair, can you just clarify what your legal question to me is?
Question is, this case with regard to how the Americans with Disability Act may apply.
Understood. So the Americans with Disability Act, as you know, requires every public agency to provides that every individual shall by reason of such disability not be excluded from participating or being denied any benefits or services, programs, activities of a public agency. So they cannot be excluded from that due to their disability, and they can't be subjected to discrimination by the entity because of that disability. Similarly, the UNRRA Act of California also prohibits entities from discriminating against individuals with disability. And part of that is that it explicitly makes violations of the ADA a violation of the UNRRA Act. Post-traumatic stress disorder and GBI, things like that are also recognized as disabilities under both the ADA and UNRRA order. I do believe that this would qualify as a disability under the ADA. Now, what the ADA says with respect to whether an individual with a disability can request an accommodation is that in terms of providing an entity must provide reasonable accommodations for participating in its programs, activities, etc. However, while the ADA prohibits discrimination against individuals with disability, it does not exempt individuals from complying with laws and regulations per ADA case law. Additionally, an entity is not required to make an accommodation that has been requested where the accommodation would fundamentally alter the nature of the program or the services or accommodations being provided by the public entity, or where and likewise, the public entity is not required to grant a requested accommodation where it can demonstrate that the accommodation would result in undue financial and administrative burdens. These requirements are found in the ADA's implementing regulations. What that means, what I can advise the board with respect to this case is it sounds like the appellant is requesting some leeway for failure to produce the required contract summaries due to her disability. And to the extent that the board is viewing that as a request for an accommodation that would require a waiver of the contract summaries and would essentially excuse her failure to submit the contract summaries. My research would indicate that may not be something that the city is required to do. The reason why I would opine that way is my understanding of the contract summary requirement is that the contract summary requirement is really the primary method that the city uses to enforce its vacation rental ordinance. Such that providing an accommodation that would excuse compliance with those contract summaries would in essence fundamentally alter the vacation rental program. Additionally, because that's the city's main enforcement mechanism, waiving that requirement of contract summaries could also result in an undue in substantially increased enforcement costs and administrative burdens for the city to be able to enforce its rental ordinance, notwithstanding those contract summaries. Accordingly, because of that, I do think that the board has a basis to find that the appellant's disability does not excuse for compliance with the contract summaries requirement, if the board is inclined to do so.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
counsel.
one more thing I should note as well is that another reason why, another point that the board may wish to consider is that the ordinance does provide a mechanism by which individuals can, for example, assign an agent or get assistance with complying with the regulations, especially the daily administrative tasks of complying with the ordinance that may be affected by an injury such as TBI. And so because the ordinance already also provides that mechanism by which an individual can achieve compliance, that may also contribute to a finding that the requested accommodation is not required.
Thank you, counsel. Any questions of counsel? And discussion of the case before us?
No, thank you. That helped a lot.
No discussion?
I mean, that was very helpful. I appreciate it. Just the findings are clear and we get to hear based on this process, some really unfortunate stories. And it makes it really hard to do this work, but I'm prepared to second the motion or make a motion.
Is someone ready to make a motion?
I move that we uphold the suspension and the fine.
I'll second that motion.
Is there further discussion? If not, then Madam Board Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Board Member Vasily,
Aye.
Board Member Kane,
Aye.
Vice Chair Tucker,
Aye.
Chair Sinclair.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
So I thank everybody, thank the appellant for testimony, and that completes this hearing. We need now to go to the approval of the minutes from the January 24th and February 28th, 2024 meetings. These are,
I think I have to recuse. I don't think I was at either one of those.
yeah, I don't remember.
I don't think I can vote. Can I vote on that? Or-
Vice Chair King, what you're voting on is the accuracy of the meetings. You don't need, of the minutes, you don't need to have been present.
Okay, I wouldn't know if they were accurate or not.
Okay,
Well, you could have reviewed them, if you believe that you're not in a position to review the minutes. Then yes, you can abstain. If you
I'm
would
going
like.
to abstain. Thank you very
is there a
much.
motion?
Just to be clear, there's two sets of minutes we're
Uh-huh.
approving, right? February, March,
January 24th and
January.
January,
February
and February,
28th.
sorry. Okay, I move that we approve both.
Is there a
sets of minutes.
second? Mr. Vasily seconds.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Board Secretary, please call the roll.
Board Member Vasily,
Aye.
Board Member Kane,
I'm going to abstain.
Board Member Tucker,
Aye.
Chair Sinclair.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
Item number 9 is the update of the subcommittee in regard to the draft recommendations to the city council regarding vacation rental ordinances. And I believe since this has not been distributed as a paper copy today, that we need to move this to the next.
It was distributed. I
Well,
mean, she emailed it to
we
us.
got an email.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think actually told me. But the public has not had a chance to see it.
Oh,
Yeah, Chair Sinclair, so the Brown Act requires that any writing that's given to the board be available for public inspection. If it was distributed to if it was distributed to the board with more than 72 hours in advance, it should have been made available to the public on the website.
okay.
If it is distributed at this meeting or has been distributed within 72 hours, then it should be made available to the public now, but it doesn't sound like we have a paper copy to make available to the
Right.
public.
Mhm.
Accordingly, I would recommend the safest option would be to continue the item and ensure that it's distributed publicly on the website for the next meeting.
So how do we go about doing that?
We need just to have a motion to continue the meeting until the next meeting with the discussion until the next meeting with the quorum.
Well, and then Evelyn, can you and Cassandra do the posting for us?
Yes,
Thank you. Okay,
for the next meeting. correct?
yes.
So, did you make a motion?
No, go ahead.
I would move to, continue that item to the next available,
Next meeting with the quorum,
with the,
which
obviously,
may not be till.
whenever that is.
So
All right.
Somebody second?
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion. All those in favor signify by answering the board secretary.
Board Member Vasili,
Aye.
Board Member King,
Aye.
Vice Chair Parker,
Aye.
and Chair Sinclair.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
Do we have any comments from the board or requests?
Is this a good time to discuss what we're discussing in the first case, process stuff, or should that be done separately from the board meetings?
But Chair, can you clarify what exactly would you like to?
So I just have some questions relative to, like, that was, in that specific case with the tenant being held responsible versus the owner. When that's applied, when that citation is applied and when it's not.
I don't believe that this item would be appropriate to ask questions of staff regarding that.
Okay,
If it's a concern that the board has with respect to the vacation rental ordinance and how it's applied, what I would recommend the board is that may be something that the subcommittee might want to consider in the proposed ordinance, or it might be something that the board would want to consider in the context of its recommendations that it's making to the city council. And it would be appropriate for you to discuss it while you consider that proposed ordinance that you will be recommending at the next.
Do you want written, like, information
I just.
from the city attorney?
Yeah, like, I don't even, in my opinion, I don't think we're ready to make a recommendation to this, because I just want clarity on when this happens, we go this way, when this happens, we go this way.
That is, yeah, I would say that's not something that I can provide.
Right.
It sounds like it's been a policy decision that the city made with respect to this citation.
So do we request of staff some sort of
So I
memorandum?
can email Patrick and you can answer my questions and then we can discuss. at the
Is that
next
right?
meeting.
Well, the agenda item says request, so I think we can request the city to.
Yeah, you can make a request of city staff and city staff may be able to provide something.
Okay, so we will request that the city clarify its policy on issuing citations to
To a
owners,
tenant versus the owner.
to owners when there's a tenant present, or,
You understand?
you know.
Oh,
where I
it's
said
not,
something.
Yeah, thank you,
Thanks,
Patrick.
City attorney, have any comments or reports?
No, I would just clarify for the record that the city, I think the board is authorized to make that request in the context of its authority to provide recommendations to the city council, for ordinance. So I just want to clarify.
Context, okay.
And aside from that, I have no other comments or questions.
All right. And the clerk's questions, reports, future dates.
Next meeting is scheduled for April 24th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m.
So Evelyn, it sounds like we're not gonna have a quorum.
Yeah, I'll be out of the country, and unless a new member is appointed before that date, we probably, or we will not have a quorum because board member Kane will also not be here next month,
And neither will I.
and neither will you, so
there
that
you
takes
go.
it down to, I would say we're probably looking at the May meeting.
Okay, staff will still reach out as part of the normal process to request, your attendance and confirm form. And, we will be in touch with you about, the next meeting or cancellation notice and whatnot.
Okay, can we ask you where the city is with their recruitment process for all of the commissions and boards?
So, the open recruitment is up and it closes April 30th. We
Closes
did
April
have
30th.
a recruitment campaign at 1 PS over the weekend on Saturday, March 23rd.
Saw that.
It was, a successful event. And, yeah, it closes on April 30th and
Okay.
we have several vacancies coming up.
Okay,
I'll tell them to get off their butts. Oh. And we're still recording already.
okay,
All right, thanks, everybody, and the meeting is adjourned.
thank you.
Safe travels, everybody.
And the meeting is for your travel. Are you going on vacation next month?
I'm gonna be